What if your website is working better than you think? Hi, I'm Appy from iCode Happy. I'm a website advisor, designer, troubleshooter, builder, all of the things. But I love to help small business owners like you make your website work for you. Sometimes you're not sure if your website is working, but what if it is? And what if it's working better than you think? We talked in an earlier video about the basics, about website visitors, conversions, those things that you want them to do on your website that are also going to help them get where they want to go or what they need from you. And from that, you can get a conversion rate, see how well that's working, and then also about website visitors and where they're coming from. Those are all a little bit more, maybe you'd say, obvious things. Today, we're going to talk about ways that you can go a little bit deeper and maybe see some connections for things that you might be missing. Your website fits within your ecosystem of your business and of your marketing. So we're going to talk about some perspective shifts, not complicated analytics, but just different ways of thinking that might help you find those pieces that might give you some valuable insights to your website and your marketing and your business. So the first way that you can go a little bit deeper is to look for indirect results. What does that mean? Here's an example. Not too long ago, I was looking at the Pinterest results for a client of mine. I was a little bit disappointed. The pins, they weren't getting clicks, they weren't really getting saves, and they weren't getting a lot of impressions. Enough for some eyeballs, and that's great, but we just weren't seeing the results that I was hoping we were going to get from Pinterest. I was fixing to meet with her and see if we should just pull the plug. And then I went to Google Search Console, and in her search queries, I started seeing an uptick of search queries and clicks from Google. And what do you think those search queries were? They were phrases that we were using on Pinterest. So I was able to tell her, okay, we aren't getting the direct results, the clicks, the saves that we were looking for from Pinterest. Maybe it just hasn't been enough time. It had only been a few months. And sometimes Pinterest takes a long time, I'm aware. So maybe it just hadn't been long enough to get that direct result we were looking for from Pinterest. But I was able to show her that there was an uptick in this other area. So you could see this indirect correlation where it's working, just not in a direct way. So that's something you can translate for your own business and your own marketing ecosystem. What might be another indicator if there's something you're doing where maybe you're not seeing the direct results, direct clicks to your website, direct sales from your website? Is there some indirect result that you can see an uptick that's maybe coming from that effort where you can see that the ecosystem as a whole is working? One quick little AI boost that you might find helpful. What if you go look at your queries in Google search and you see if those are results that you want to be found for, and if not, then you can use your own list of keywords. What if you put those into AI and ask AI for content opportunities using those keywords? We don't do keyword stuffing and things that aren't legitimately creating good content for our humans, but we also can use the tech tools to help us create better content. So let's go back for a minute to this idea of an ecosystem, because my next tip is, maybe you've heard the phrase, look bigger or look smaller. It's a kind of a thing in times of stress. Sometimes it helps to look bigger or look smaller so that you can see the bigger picture or the smaller details and you can find things that are helpful. That's true of your website also. So the zoom out part would be to consider the entire ecosystem of what you're doing. Maybe your online store isn't getting as many sales as you would like, but maybe you're picking up some retail locations and you're able to put your product there. And you know that that person has also looked at your website. You can tie your website back to the retail location. You can tell people that they can go shop in that particular location. Maybe there's a partnership. Maybe there's an offline opportunity. Maybe it's just the fact that you're using several different platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, maybe LinkedIn. You might be tired if you're using all of those, but consider how all of the pieces are fitting with your website, with your business. Email, YouTube, all of the pieces fit together. And so if you zoom out a little bit and you consider all of the pieces and how they're fitting together, sometimes that's helpful to see that, yes, my website is working as a piece within this ecosystem. You can also zoom in and look at the details. For example, a client was posting on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest and seeing a boost in sales from doing all of that. A few other offline things too. Then there was a month where sales were struggling. It was also some other trends that were going on. But one of the things we noticed was that Facebook posts were down. And maybe it's the Facebook posts, maybe it's the reach, maybe it's the engagements. But it's something that as we zoom out and look at the whole ecosystem, then we can slowly see the details too. And it doesn't take tons of time. Maybe you're saying, I don't have time to look at all of that data. And I hear you. And also, I think as we are small businesses, we start to have a sense of, I'm just not seeing what I saw before in this location or on this platform. And a lot of times we have a sense of where to look deeper because we can start with the simple. And then as we get clues, we can look a little bit deeper in those specific locations. So we don't have to look at everything everywhere because that gets really overwhelming. The third way we can look a little bit deeper is with our time frames. And that's a little bit similar to the zooming in and zooming out because you can do the same with time. I have metrics that I look at on a weekly basis because I want to see how things are changing quickly. There's other metrics that if I looked at on a weekly basis, it would just give me noise. And so those maybe I look at monthly or even quarterly to look at the broad strokes. And a lot of times I do all of the above. I'm looking for the small details and then I'm looking for the bigger trends. Another story here, clients started posting on social media. It took 3 months before sales started picking up. And it took another year to really start seeing the trends of how that was affecting sales. So longer term things, year over year, quarter over quarter, quarterly data, monthly data. Very often I will look at website visits or sales trends over multiple years because I want to see what those trends are. That's another quick little AI tip. Be very careful about the information that you put into AI. But if there is information, maybe non-financial information that you're comfortable putting into AI, you can put that raw data in and say, hey, show me what this looks like visually and help me see what the trends look like. Show me the patterns. Be very careful. It doesn't always get it right. Make sure you take a look also because it's not always accurate, but it can help you to get a sense. And sometimes they even have suggestions on things you can do to improve your numbers. But it's a way to get a quick visual and a quick direction into seeing what the patterns and what the trends of your data are. So today we've talked about 3 ways that you can go deeper into evaluating your website, seeing how well it's working for you, maybe even picking up on some wins that you didn't realize were there. Take a look at what you're doing that might have some indirect results. Zoom in or zoom out, change your focus, change your perspective, see if that helps to give you some insights, and change up the time frame that you're looking at. Go smaller to look at things a little bit more quickly, see how things are changing. Go longer and see what those longer term trends are, and see if maybe there's been some improvement that was hard to see when you're looking at a smaller time frame. I hope that's been helpful. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me again.